Hi, I'm Greg from Playtech, and today we're going to be looking at an exceptional new monitor from Zowie. The Zowie XL2566K is a 360Hz Full HD monitor designed especially for esports that uses a TN panel for its lightning fast refresh rate and response time. Now I know some of you out there are going to be saying, what? A TN panel in 2023? And I know this might be shocking to hear, but the Zowie XL2566K isn't just any old TN panel, but perhaps the best TN gaming monitor ever made. While all the other manufacturers have been working on IPS and VA panels, it seems that Zowie saw that there was still some untapped potential in TN and have really dug into the technology to create something that simply isn't possible with the other panel types. Now you may say that you've seen other 360Hz displays with IPS panels, but trust me, they're nothing like this. Although the other panels sometimes offer slightly wider viewing angles and contrast, they simply cannot compete on motion clarity and response time. The amount of overdrive the other panels have to use to even be in the same ballpark as a TN means that you end up with a huge amount of overshoot, which actually results in worse motion clarity. Now, of course, there are downsides to this monitor, but when you consider what this monitor is designed for, it's really not something I'd worry about. For example, the viewing angle drops off pretty quickly on this monitor. When I'm approximately 30 to 40 degrees offside, the color gets washed out pretty quick. But this is a hardcore esports gaming monitor. It's designed for you to be sitting right in front of it. I mean, it even comes with these little shields that can block glare or even just give you a bit of privacy at the LAN. If you want something that you can play from across the room when you're in bed, you probably wouldn't be shopping for a 24-inch monitor anyway. Just get a TV. Now, the hardest part of trying to illustrate how good and just the speed of this monitor is that due to how fast the monitor's refresh rate is, I can't actually capture that on my camera. Think about it like this. The Zowie XL2566K will display up to 360Hz. That's 360 individual frames per second. My camera here can record it up to 120 frames per second at best, but here on YouTube, you're most likely only watching this video at 30 frames per second. During the filming of this video, I tried time and time again to get some solid repeatable video footage that does it justice, but unfortunately, this is the best I got. Now, as you can see, the footage really doesn't do it justice. The Zowie monitor seems to be pulsing because its backlight is flickering faster than the camera's shutter speed, which is opening 120 times per second and recording at 120 FPS. Then it's played back here at 30 FPS. Now this pulsing isn't present on our other monitor because the backlight is strobing so slowly that it is actually sort of blurring out the pulsing between frames, if you understand what I mean. Anyway, the pulsing isn't visible to the human eye at normal speeds, but hopefully it illustrates how much faster the Zowie is. The most noticeable differences are when we take these slow motion clips and freeze frame them, and you can see what I mean by how the slower monitor is basically blurring frames together, but the Zowie looks nice and crisp, particularly on fast moving details like this shell casing here. Now on top of this, because the 360Hz monitor is displaying frames much faster, it also has much lower input lag than the 60Hz monitor beside it. It's particularly noticeable in slow motion here, looking at these muzzle flashes, where we can see the Zowie is literally ahead of the 60Hz monitor beside it. This difference is a matter of maybe 10 or 15 milliseconds, but it is huge when it comes down to it. Anyway, I wasn't particularly thrilled with the footage that I got here, but I hope it illustrates what I'm trying to explain. In the end, I reached out to Zowie, who were able to provide me with some footage from their lab, which helps illustrate it a little bit better by comparing this monitor to its 240Hz predecessor. As you can see on the freeze frames, the 360Hz image is just much clearer. However, I have to say, if you really want to see what this monitor can do, head over to Optimum Tech's YouTube channel, and he's got some really amazing, super slow motion footage of this monitor that makes it immediately clear how good this thing really is. Now, usually when I see a monitor that responds as fast, I'd associate it with having a pretty poor color accuracy. But that's not the case here. While it's still probably not ideal for photo and print work, its sRGB coverage is excellent, and even straight out of the box, the accuracy is some of the best I've seen. Now, Zowie don't advertise most of these figures, probably because they don't want people to think of it as anything more than a pure gaming monitor. But if you give it a Google, you'll see there's plenty of third-party tests and comparisons out there that show that these monitors really do have excellent color. You'll also notice Zowie's DyAc technology has been updated to DyAc Plus. This is like the old blur reduction feature that you might remember from other high refresh rate monitors. Usually blur reduction is a bit of a trade-off that gives you a brighter or sometimes even darker image in exchange for less blur. However, with Zowie DyAc Plus on the XL2566K, you don't get a difference in brightness, you just get a clearer image, and that moving content just is super crisp. Check out this comparison with DyAc on and off. See how the edges are so much more defined with DyAc Plus on? That's the magic here in the DyAc Plus. So if all these settings sound a little bit confusing, don't worry. You can actually load the free Zowie settings to share software and download profiles that are already optimized for your game. So no more trawling Reddit for some random stranger's idea of what looks best. You can just jump straight on the Zowie website and download profiles for all the top esports titles, then load them in through the software. And once you've got your monitor set up how you like it, instead of having to wrestle with buttons on the back or the side of the monitor every time you want to change something, instead you've got this awesome little S switch that lets you switch between all the profiles, adjust settings quickly and easily from the front of the monitor. As you can tell from these kind of features, they've really made this monitor for hardcore gamers, and they've fixed all those annoying little things that you don't want to have to worry about in the middle of a game. For instance, we've got the smaller base here. See how the corners are trimmed off here? The older models didn't have this. This is actually for the hardcore CSGO players, the ones who like to tilt their keyboards to the side. This means that if you've got a small desk, you can actually fit everything in nice and close. And now we've got the shields that I mentioned earlier. These just attach to the side here and can either block out the glare if there's a window to the side of you, but to be honest, the matte screen doesn't really have a lot of glare anyway, but also these can give you a little privacy at a LAN or a competitive event, which is why Zowie are always on stage at gaming events. They just think of all those little things. Now, if we turn the monitor around, you'll also notice there's a carry handle, and the height adjustment has a ruler and marker next to it. That means that you can get your monitor set up exactly how you like it and then take it to a vent with the included dust cover, and when you set up, you can get it back to exactly how you want it. And of course, it's got the signature Zowie headphone hanger on the back there. Now, I hope that's given you a good idea of why this monitor is exciting for us. It's not just the novelty of a 10 panel in 2023, but the fact that it's probably the best one we've ever seen. Who knows how far Zowie will take this technology? Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Greg from Playtech, and I'll see you all next time.